The detention cell hummed with an electromagnetic frequency that made Harry's teeth ache. He'd been counting the pulsations for 72 hours, or what he assumed were hours in this godforsaken corner of the Andromeda sector. The walls were translucent crystalline composite, allowing him to see the other human prisoners in adjacent cells, their faces hollow with despair. Harry pressed his palm against the barrier, feeling the tingle of the containment field. 3 months ago, he'd been a xenobiologist aboard the research vessel Prometheus, studying extremophile organisms on ice moons. Now he was property of the Calathari Empire, captured when his ship strayed too close to their territorial boundary during a solar storm. The door materialized, not opened, but literally phased into existence from the molecular structure of the wall. 2 Calathari guards entered, their exoskeletons gleaming like polished obsidian, compound eyes reflecting Harry's image in fractured kaleidoscope patterns. They didn't speak. Their species communicated through pheromonal secretions and bioelectric pulses that human neurology couldn't process without translation implants. Prisoner 7743H, the translation device on the lead guard's thorax crackled. You are summoned to the matriarch's presence chamber. Harry's heart rate spiked. Summons to see Queen Zalmora usually meant one of 2 things: interrogation or execution. Given that the Calathari had already extracted every piece of tactical information from his neural cortex using their memory siphon technology, he suspected the latter. The guards escorted him through corridors of bioluminescent architecture, the walls pulsing with veins of light that served as both illumination and data transmission networks. The Calathari had mastered bioengineering to a degree that made human technology seem primitive. Their entire civilization was grown, not built, from engineered organisms that served as buildings, ships, and tools. The presence chamber was vast, its ceiling disappearing into darkness hundreds of meters above. Queen Zalmora sat upon a throne that was actually a living creature, its body adapted to provide cushioning and temperature regulation for its occupant. The queen herself was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, her chitinous body adorned with neural augmentation ports that glowed with soft amber light. But it wasn't the queen who captured Harry's attention. Standing beside the throne was another Calathari, smaller and more delicately built, her carapace displaying unusual iridescent patterns that shifted between deep purple and midnight blue. Prisoner Harry Chen, the queen's translator boomed. You possess knowledge of human biochemistry and genetic engineering. I'm a xenobiologist, Harry replied carefully. My expertise is in non-terrestrial life forms. Precisely why you interest us. The queen gestured with one of her 4 arms. This is my daughter, honey. She is widowed. Harry blinked. He'd heard the translation wrong, he must have. I don't understand, Your Majesty. Honey's mate perished in the border conflicts with the Vrexian collective. By our law, she must remarry within 1 solar cycle or forfeit her position in the royal lineage. The queen's compound eyes fixed on Harry with unsettling intensity. I offer you a proposition. Marry my daughter, and I grant you freedom, refuse, and you will spend the remainder of your natural life in detention. The absurdity of the situation threatened to trigger hysterical laughter in Harry's chest, but he suppressed it. This was no joke. The Calathari didn't possess a sense of humor as humans understood it. Your Majesty, I'm honored, but surely there are biological incompatibilities. You misunderstand the nature of Calathari marriage. Honey spoke for the first time, her voice synthesized through her translator with surprising warmth. We do not require reproductive compatibility. Marriage among my people is a legal and social contract, a merging of resources and status. Physical intimacy is not expected, particularly between species. Harry studied her more carefully. The iridescent patterns on her carapace were intricate, almost hypnotic. He'd read academic papers on Calathari chromatic communication. The colors conveyed emotional states and social information. Purple and blue together typically indicated melancholy mixed with curiosity. "Why me?" Harry asked. "You must have thousands of suitable Calathari males." "Indeed," the Queen interjected, "but none who provide the unique advantage you offer. My daughter has developed a fascination with human culture and biology. Her research focuses on cross-species communication and cooperation. A marriage to you would legitimize her studies and provide her access to human knowledge networks." "It's more than that, Mother," Honey said, her carapace flickering with gold highlights indicating, if Harry remembered correctly, assertiveness or passion. "The Calathari Empire has been isolated for too long. We need to understand humanity if we're to coexist in this sector. Harry's expertise could bridge gaps that have existed for centuries." Harry's mind raced through the implications. Marriage to an alien princess, freedom from imprisonment, the opportunity to continue his research, perhaps even facilitate diplomatic relations between species. But also, the complete upending of everything he knew, permanent exile from human society, and a life lived among beings who thought in chemical signals and saw the universe through compound eyes. "What would this marriage entail specifically?" Harry asked. Honey approached him, her movements graceful despite the mechanical appearance of her segmented limbs. "You would live in the royal quarters with full access to our scientific facilities. You would serve as my cultural advisor and research partner. In public, we would present ourselves as a bonded pair. In private, we would be colleagues working toward mutual understanding. And if I want to return to human space eventually." The Queen's translator emitted something that might have been a sigh. "After 5 standard years, the marriage contract allows for dissolution by mutual consent. At that time, you would be free to leave, with full pardons for any territorial violations." 5 years. Harry had already lost 3 months to captivity, 5 years among aliens or a lifetime in the cell. When framed that way, the choice seemed obvious, yet something in him hesitated. "Can I ask Honey a question directly?" "Speak," the Queen permitted. Harry turned to face the princess. "Why are you really doing this? The official reasons make sense, but I can read chromatic patterns well enough to know you're nervous. What aren't you telling me?" The colors on Honey's carapace rippled through a complex sequence: surprise, respect, and something else Harry couldn't identify. "Perceptive," she said softly. "The truth is that I am lonely. My mate and I shared intellectual pursuits. His death left a void not just in my social status but in my research. I need a partner who thinks differently than I do, who can challenge my assumptions and offer new perspectives. You're not just a convenient solution to a legal problem, Harry. You're an opportunity for genuine collaboration." The honesty in her words struck something in Harry. He understood loneliness. He understood the hunger for intellectual connection. And he understood that sometimes the most important discoveries happened at the boundaries between different worlds. "What happens to the other human prisoners?" Harry asked. The Queen's antennae twitched. "They will be processed for prisoner exchange with the Terran Federation within 2 months. All of them, including the civilians." "All of them." Harry took a deep breath. The decision crystallized in his mind with sudden clarity. "I have conditions. First, I want regular communication access to human space, censored if necessary, but I need to contact my family. Second, I want to help prepare the other prisoners for their release, make sure they're treated well. Third, I want it formally documented that this is a consensual arrangement, not coercion." The Queen's carapace darkened slightly, a sign of consideration. "The first 2 conditions are acceptable. The third is redundant. Forced marriages are not recognized under Calathari law. Your consent is legally required." "Then you have my consent," Harry said. "I'll marry Honey." The wedding ceremony took place 3 days later in the royal gardens, an ecosystem of bioluminescent flora that the Calathari had cultivated over centuries. Harry wore a modified environmental suit designed to interface with Calathari ceremonial garments, a surreal combination of human and alien aesthetics. Honey stood across from him, her carapace painted with traditional marriage patterns in phosphorescent pigments. The ceremony itself was brief, involving the exchange of biochemical signatures that would mark them as legally bonded in all Kalithari databases. When it was done, Honey extended one of her forelimbs toward Harry. After a moment's hesitation, he took it, feeling the cool smoothness of her exoskeleton through his glove. "Welcome to freedom, husband," she said, her translator rendering the words with gentle warmth. "Thank you, wife," Harry replied, surprised to find himself smiling. They walked together through the gardens, an impossible pair, human and Kalithari, scientist and princess, two beings from worlds apart taking the first steps of a journey neither could have imagined. Above them, the alien stars of Andromeda burned with cold light, indifferent to the small act of courage and curiosity that had just unfolded below. Harry looked up at those stars and wondered what his colleagues would think when they learned what he'd done. They'd probably call him crazy. Perhaps he was, but as Honey began explaining the biochemistry of the glowing plants around them, her enthusiasm evident in the rapid color changes on her carapace, Harry realized that madness and genius often occupied the same territory. He'd come to this sector seeking to understand alien life. Now he would spend 5 years living among it, married to it, learning from it. The irony wasn't lost on him. "What are you thinking?" Honey asked, noticing his distant expression. "That sometimes the universe has a strange sense of humor," Harry said. Honey's carapace flashed with colors that her translator couldn't quite render. Later, she would explain that it was the Kalithari equivalent of laughter, not at his words, but in appreciation of the absurd beauty of their unlikely partnership. And in that moment, standing in an alien garden under foreign stars, Harry Chen felt the weight of his imprisonment finally lift, replaced by something he hadn't expected: hope.